All right, put your date on your notes. Today is May the 8th. We're getting there. All right, the title of today's notes is the quotient property of radicals. Quotient property of radicals. It's a long title. What does it mean? What's a quotient? Right, answer to a division problem, right? Let's just jump right into it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, example number 1. When you first glance at this, you probably think fraction. Oh no, it's a fraction. Really, a fraction is what? Fraction's just a... Anybody? It can be a decimal, right? It's a division problem, isn't it? Top number, numerator, divided by denominator. It's a division problem, okay? So I really want you to think of these as more of a division problem rather than just a fraction, okay? So here's how we're going to break this apart. We're going to separate this as radical 9 divided by radical 16, okay? Just separate it. What is the square root of 9? 3, right? Cole, come sit up here. And what is the square root of 16? 4, right? Okay, 3/4 is a perfectly good fraction. Can 3/4 be simplified or reduced any lower? No, it cannot. I mean, sure, we could turn it into a decimal, but really this is a totally acceptable answer, okay? So that's how we would do those. That's nice and simple and easy, nice and clean. Let's do another one. Example number 2. You're going to see them like this with kind of an upstairs, downstairs radical sign, but really, guys, it means the same thing as breaking it apart into radical 2 divided by radical 25. Sit right there. You're not going to come up here and be rewarded with a cushy seat when you're back there talking. All right, so radical 2, what's the square root of 2? Is it going to be a whole number? No, it's going to be an irrational number, right? It's going to be a decimal that goes on and on and on. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave it as a radical 2 because we know from the past, we know that this is an exact answer. Radical 2 is an exact answer. If I tried to round it to the nearest tenths place, that would not be an exact answer, okay? Now the bottom I can simplify. What is the square root of 25? 5, okay? And as weird as this looks to have a radical as a numerator and a whole number as a denominator, this is actually a totally acceptable answer that's already simplified. This is an answer, okay? You can leave it just like that. You can have a radical as your numerator, all right? But, there's always a but, right? Example 3. Let me show you what you cannot have. 100 divided by 7. Okay, first thing I want you to do is break it apart. Radical 100 divided by radical 7. Okay. All right, what is the square root of 100? 10, right? Whole number. What's the square root of 7? Not a whole number. It's another irrational number, right? It's going to be another decimal that goes on and on and on and on and on. If I type it in and show, let's see, I'll show you. Let's see what it is. Second square root 7. Okay, it's going to be a really long decimal that's going to keep going. Okay, so I'm going to leave this down here as a radical, but there's a problem. And here's the problem. Can you take a never-ending number and break it into pieces? equal pieces? No. A denominator, that's really what a denominator is of a fraction. It's breaking something apart into equal pieces, right? I can't break a never-ending number apart into equal pieces. So we cannot have a radical as our denominator. If you kind of think of your denominator as being like the diva of the fraction, it's very picky. It's like an exclusive club, and certain people are not allowed. Zeros are not allowed in the denominator club. And irrational numbers, radicals, are not allowed in the denominator club, okay? So we can't have this. So I need to fix it. Is the 7 the problem, or is the radical sign the problem? The radical sign's the problem. You can have 7 as a denominator, right? But I can't have a radical 7 as a denominator. So how can I get rid of the radical sign? Multiply it by, yeah, y'all are both right. Multiply it by itself, right? Square it. Multiply it by radical 7, because when I do that, what happens? What's radical 7 divided by radical 7? What does that equal? What's 7 times 7? What's the square root of 49? 7. So see, I got rid of my radical sign, and now I just have a 7 on the bottom number, okay? But here's the problem. You know that mathematical property when you're solving equations where you do something to one side, what do you have to do? You got to do the same thing to the other. The same thing is true with fractions. If I do something to the bottom number, I have to do the same thing to the top. So if I'm going to multiply this bottom number by radical 7, then I also have to multiply the top number by radical 7. Okay? Now I have a whole number times a radical 7. I can't just multiply them together and get radical 70. Doesn't work that way, does it? This is on the outside of the radical sign, and this is on the inside of the radical sign. So they're not going to be multiplied together. So I'm going to leave it just like this. 10 radical 7. That would be my exact number simplified answer. Okay? So on bottom I have a whole number, and on top I have 10 radical 7. You can have a radical on top. You cannot have one on the bottom. Okay? In fact, let's write that. Let's make ourselves a little note. Make your notes match mine. You can have a radical up top with a whole number down below. This is okay. You cannot have a whole number up here and a radical down here. This is not allowed. Okay? No radicals on the bottom. So anytime you see a problem that has a radical down below, I want you to think, I've got to fix it. All right, let's do another one. Okay, what about this? Radical 3n on top. Radical 5 down below. What's wrong with this? There's a radical on the bottom, and I can't have that. Remember, the 5 is not the problem. The radical sign is the problem. Okay? So in order to get rid of it, we're going to multiply by radical 5, and whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So we're basically just multiplying both top and bottom by radical 5. Okay? All right, now this, because this is inside of the radical sign and this is inside of the radical sign, I can multiply these two things together, and I get radical 15n. That's different than this, because this was on the outside and this was on the inside, so we could not multiply the two. But these are both inside, so we can multiply them. Okay? All right, now what is radical 5 times radical 5? What does that equal? Equals radical 25, which equals, what's the square root of 25? 5. So I get 5 down below. Okay. I can't simplify this one any further. I know that you might be thinking, well, could we reduce the fraction? Could we divide them both by 5 and get 3 up here and 1 down here? No. Why? This one's a radical. This one's a whole number. Okay? So we're going to leave it just like that. This is the simplified answer right here. Leave it just like that. Okay? All right, what about this one? We're going to get a little messy. This one's going to get a little messier. Okay? 2 up top and 2 times radical 3 down below. Okay? Why can I not have the radical 3 down here? It's a non-ending irrational number, right? So I need to get rid of my radical. What about the 2? Is it causing a problem? I can have whole numbers down here. I just can't have radical signs. So instead of multiplying this by 2 radical 3, I'm just going to multiply it by radical 3. I'm going to leave the 2 just like it is. I'm going to leave it right there, okay? So here we go. Multiply everything times radical 3. Okay. And up top, I end up with a whole number times a radical, which gives me 2 radical 3, not radical 6, right? This one's outside of the sign, and this one is under the sign. So we're keeping them separated. Okay. Down below, I have radical 3 times radical 3, which is radical 9. What's the square root of 9? Is it just me, or is there an ice cream truck going by? I don't know what's happening right now. What's the square root of 9? 3. Okay. All right, stay with me. All right, so now I have the whole number 3 times the 2. Okay, I'm going to multiply them together. This is going to stay 2 radical 3. I'm going to keep it just like that. And what is 2 times 3? Am I finished? What else do you notice here? The whole numbers can be divided, reduced, simplified, right? What is 2 divided by 2? 1. And what is 6 divided by 2? 3. So what I'm actually left with here is radical 3 over whole number 3. I don't have to put the 1 outside of it. It's like one of those invisible math rules. You don't have to put the 1 here, okay? So this is the simplified answer. Are you with me? Everybody understand? Feel good about it so far? Okay, good, because we're about to get really messy. I'll tell you what. Instead of me explaining this one, I'm just going to let you try it. I'm just going to let you get your hands dirty and see what you come up with. I want to see. Let's see who can do this. Do it. Try it. 7 radical 10 divided by 3 radical 2. Use what you know and just try it. There may be a sticker involved. Yes.
What if we try our best?
You gotta get it right. You gotta get it right. Wear your smarty pants.
I already quit.
You can't quit. Too legit to quit. When you get an answer, raise your hand.
I know my fault.
Hold on, Preston. That's not an answer.
It's not 5/3. There's no way.
You got an answer?
Yeah, it's not right, but 2.3 is the radical sign 5.
Okay, there's no decimals involved.
Okay. 5/3.
You're close.
7/3.
5 and 4.
What'd you get?
7/6.
Nope.
I said 5/4. You said it was close.
Anybody else?
6/3.
You're so close.
5/3. What's that? I give up. Please.
Hold on, y'all be quiet. Abigail, her wheels are turning. I can tell. She's working on it.
I'm actually.
Okay.
Four over
Wait.
5.
Wait.
147. Wait. Is it 14 with the 5 and then the 6?
No, you're close. You're on the right track.
You said close. How close is 5/4?
6 is on the bottom. No.
Is 5 on the bottom?
35 over
3 is on the bottom.
4 is on the bottom.
2 is on the bottom. 3 is on the bottom. She never said no.
Over what?
It's 2.3.
I'll take it.
What?
3. Yes, you got it. Good job. Elva gets a sticker.
Can we get a sticker, please?
Wait, what was the
No.
answer?
Okay. Shh. All right. Elva is going to walk us through it. Ready, Elva? Okay. Shh. I'm going to guide you. Okay. Y'all be quiet and listen. Write it down. Watch and learn. We cannot have radical 2 on the bottom. So, Elva, what are we going to do? That's right. Multiply the top and the bottom by radical 2. Pay attention. Pay attention. Shh. Okay. Now what, Elva? Let's work up top here. Let's work up top. 7 radical 20, she says. Okay. Now let's go down bottom. What's radical 2 times radical 2 is what? Which equals 2, the whole number 2. And we already had a whole number 3, so we have 3 times 2 here, right? Okay, now let's go back up top, Elva. What can we do to simplify this? Okay, I'm going to let's walk through this. Let's simplify the 20, just like we did last night. Simplify radical 20. Break it down to prime factorization. You can do it that way? Okay. Remember, 4 times 5 is 20. So 4 times 5. Can we make a partnership here? A pair of 2's. That pair of 2's comes out. And we put it over here, multiply it by the 7. The 5 stays in, right? What do we have down below? 3 times 2? 6. Okay. Now let me rewrite that so that we can see what we really have. We have 14 radical 5 over 6. Some of you, Abigail, I think you got this far, didn't you? Was it you? Somebody else did. Somebody got this far. The only thing you didn't do was reduce your fraction. Reduce your 14 and your 6. Both of those are whole numbers, so they can both be divided by 2, right? 14 divided by 2 is 7. Keep the radical 5. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And that's it. How did you do it, Elva? Oh. Who just threw that? What did you just throw? Why? That is so unlike you, Preston. You know it's time for the school year to end whenever good students start doing crazy things. Okay. Well, I think you just got lucky on that, but you still got the right answer. No. No, because I don't know how in the world. I don't know how you got lucky on that, but you did. So good job. All right, let's do another one. Ready? Example 7. We're getting there. I think we got 2 more that we need to work through. Actually, no, this is the last one. Last problem. Okay. Try this one. 3 radical 5 divided by radical 20a squared. All right. First of all, let's look down here. I have a radical sign. Can't have that, can I? Before you go multiplying this by radical 20 and this by radical 20, which is going to end up really big, what can we do with radical 20a squared? Simplify it, right? Can we simplify this like we did last night? Let's do that first. 20a squared, prime factorization, 4 times 5, which is 2 times 2 times 5, times a, right? Okay, let's do that first. Keep that 3 radical 5 up top. Can we partner anything here? Pair of 2's, pair of a's. So that leaves 3 radical 5 up top. 2a comes out. Radical 5 stays in. Okay, now get rid of the radical on the bottom by multiplying the top and the bottom by radical 5. Okay. I'm going to let you see if you can finish it. From this step right here, from this part right here, see if you can finish that part. Simplify it. Raise your hand when you get an answer. Get something? What'd you get? Anybody else? Did you get this far? Radical 5 times radical 5 equals radical 25, which equals whole number 5, right? So that's 3 times 5. Down below, radical 5 times radical 5 equals radical 25, which equals whole number 5. Okay, reduce, simplify. 5 divided by 5, mark them out. They cancel each other out. And what are we left with? 3 over 2a. This is final answer simplified. Okay, did you get close? Elva got it. Anybody else? Nobody? Y'all make me nervous sometimes. You got what? Okay, you had it right. What did you need to do? You had 2 whole numbers. You've got 2 whole numbers here. Divide them both by 5. That equals 3 over 2a. See? You just didn't simplify it. Yeah. You can if they're whole numbers. You cannot if they're radicals. Okay? But if they're 2 whole numbers, reduce them if you can. Anybody else get close? Anybody else at least get 15 over 10a? Maybe? No? Okay, y'all are making me nervous. A little bit nervous. I'm worried. I'm worried that y'all might not be ready for the rest of the worksheet. What's the issue? What's making you confused, or Any questions? It's really not hard. It's just a step-by-step long process. It's not a hard process. It's just using what you know about math and division, right? It's really just all division. Canceling things out, okay? All right, well, I'm gonna let you, trudge your way through the worksheet 14 through 20 and do your very best. And you can let me know if you have questions on it. Your worksheet is on OneNote, so pull it up on OneNote, 14 through 20.